Hello and welcome back to Euro Football Daily, where today we've got a scout report on 5 reasons why Chelsea won't finish in the top 6 despite that 5-2 win at Molineux. Let's get started. 5. The captain's decline. Cesar Azpilicueta gained a reputation at Stamford Bridge for his determined and dogged nature on the pitch. His consistency in a Chelsea shirt has seen him keep his place in the side for an impressive 7 years. Along the way, he has made 343 appearances and won 6 major trophies, as well as winning the club's Player of the Season in 13-14. His reliable form earned him the captain's armband when Gary Cahill departed in the summer. However, the Spaniard is so far struggling to justify his skipper status. Azpi is one of the more experienced players in the squad at 30 years old, experience that should be valuable to the side. But his lack of sharpness and confidence this season is costing the side. At the time of writing, the Blues have conceded 11 goals in the Premier League, with 55% of those coming down his side. The former Marseille man has also been sloppy with the ball, completing 77% of his passes. That's the lowest for a defender in the squad and considerably less than the 87% he managed last campaign. His passing was particularly poor in Chelsea's 2-2 draw with Sheffield United in August, where he misplaced a massive 16 passes, more than anyone else on the pitch. His declining performances have not gone unnoticed amongst rivals, with sides now targeting the fullback. Against Norwich, 58% of the Canaries' attacks were on the right flank, while 78% of the Blades' crosses were also from the same side. Although these numbers all look pretty bad for the captain, he has improved in some areas, with 4 tackles and interceptions per 90. That's up from last season's 3.9. Key passes are also on the rise, with 1.4 per 90, almost double that from last campaign. So, some positives there at least, but ultimately the Spanish international is looking far from his best. Although still very early on in the season, Azpilicueta has conceded 1.1 fouls a game, the most for a defender in the Chelsea side. Many fans are calling for him to be dropped in favour of teenage prospect Reece James. The 19-year-old is yet to make an appearance at the Bridge, but was very impressive at Wigan last term, earning a place in the Championship's Team of the Season. With Lampard looking to the future, he may well turn to James to fix Chelsea's right-back woes. So before we go on to our next section, don't forget to subscribe to Euro Football Daily and hit that notification bell to never miss a video. 4. Inexperience. Although youth adds energy and rawness to a side, a lack of experience can be detrimental. There's no doubting Frank Lampard's ability as a player, but he's still pretty new to the managerial game, and surely a job of this magnitude is a tad too soon for him. At 41 years old, Lamps is the youngest manager currently in the Premier League. The Chelsea legend did a solid job at Derby County last term, taking the Rams to the playoff final, losing narrowly to Aston Villa. But his start to life in the Premier League has been mixed. Still without a win in the league at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea have won 2 of their opening 5 games, with a 40% win ratio. Lampard has already stamped his mark by opting for youth over experience, and there are some signs of it working. The Blues' average squad age against Sheffield United was just 24.5 years old. That's the second youngest of the season, behind only Southampton. Tammy Abraham and Mason Mount have revelled in the opportunity, scoring 10 goals between them already in the league. But the real test will be to see if they can maintain such form, and they'll have to if Chelsea are to have success this season, as there's only 2 players left in the squad who scored over 5 league goals last term, Pedro and Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Abraham has already exceeded this with 7 goals, an outstanding start for the 21-year-old. But the Blues still lack leadership and have a less rounded team than the likes of Leicester City, who are looking the most likely to crash the top 6 party. The Foxes boast a more settled and experienced squad and were unlucky not to take all 3 points from Stamford Bridge back in August, matching Chelsea for possession and having 21 touches in the opposition's box, more than the home side managed. Now, we're not saying an older team is necessarily a good thing, but it gives the East Midlands club an advantage in terms of having players who know the division inside out. And none more so than Jamie Vardy, who has 83 goals in the Premier League. That's 31 more goals than the whole of Chelsea's starting 11 against the Blades have managed in England's top tier. There's certainly a lot to be excited about for the Blues' future, with the sheer amount of homegrown talent coming through the ranks. But it's a long season and we think their inexperience will ultimately be their downfall. 3. Lack of creativity. Although their XG is more than last season at 1.9 per game, with the loss of Eden Hazard and no sufficient playmaker in the middle of the park, Chelsea still lack creativity. Jorginho, Kovacic and Barkley all managed just 0.8 key passes per 90 last season, with N'Golo Kante creating the most chances from midfield with 1.3 key passes per game. In comparison, Christian Eriksen had 2.1 per 90 at Spurs, and Leicester's James Maddison managed an impressive 2.8. Mason Mount has had a lively start to the Premier League, with 3 goals and 2.2 key passes per 90. But the 20-year-old will struggle to come close to the numbers Hazard hit last season. The Belgian assisted his teammates 15 times in the league, the next best in the squad was Willian with just 6. Hazard may have saved his side on numerous occasions, but in reality Chelsea have lacked a creative spark in midfield since Cesc Fabregas's decline and departure. In 16-17, the last time the pensioners won the title, the World Cup winner was integral, forming a great understanding with fellow Spaniard Diego Costa and assisting his team 12 times, the most in the side. The former gunner opened up defences and continued to do so the following season with 2.8 key passes per 90, more than Eden Hazard. Although not known for his attacking output, Jorginho's lacked any form of creativity or ideas since moving to London in 2018, often frustrating the Stamford Bridge faithful with his backwards and sideways passing. He keeps the ball extremely well, no doubt, managing 89% pass accuracy in 18-19. But with just 1 assist for Chelsea and 1 key pass per 90 this term, it's hard to see exactly what he offers in the side. With Sarri no longer at the helm, we can't see Jorginho fitting into Lampard's system. The Blues are looking less dominant with the ball, as their average possession is down from 60% last season to 54% this campaign. Already an early sign of the Italian not suiting a style that will be less dependent on having the ball. Chelsea's young guns should offer the side some swagger up top, but the team still cries out for more cleverness and imagination. 2. Defensive frailties. Had it not been for their transfer ban, a new defender or two would have almost certainly come through the door. Instead, a few left, and Chelsea have been left with a rather frail backline. The Europa League holders were defensively suspect last season, conceding 39. Not terrible, but their worst record since 15-16 when they finished 10th. And they are undoubtedly weaker at the back this term, opting to sell David Luiz to Arsenal and releasing Gary Cahill on a free transfer to Crystal Palace. The decision to sell the Brazilian particularly strange considering they couldn't strengthen in the transfer window. The 32-year-old has had a poor start at Arsenal and continues to show signs of decline, but still put in some decent numbers last term, making 2.1 tackles and interceptions. Pretty good for a defender and more than Rudiger and Christensen managed. His departure has paved the way for Kurt Zouma's return to the squad following a successful loan spell at Everton. The Frenchman impressed with the Toffees but has looked shaky at the back for Chelsea. He has already made 2 errors leading to goals this term, conceding a penalty against Man United and scoring an own goal against the Blades. The 24-year-old is also less competent on the ball than his colleagues. Last season he had a pass accuracy of 84%, which is less than any defender managed in the Chelsea side. The West Londoners looked more sturdy at the back with Rudiger's return against Wolves, but was replaced by Zouma in the second half through injury, with the visitors then going on to concede twice. The decision to let Luiz and Cahill go has opened up for an opportunity for the young Canadian born Tomori, who has started in Chelsea's last 2 league games. The 21-year-old scored a screamer against Wolves, but with only 3 league appearances in a blue shirt, he lacks experience in a side already short of it. The Super Cup runners-up have already conceded 11 goals so far this season, only Norwich conceding more. The pensioners have been unlucky though, with an expected goals against of 6.9. A fit Rudiger should help shore up the backline, but it seems no coincidence that a team short of defensive options are shipping goals for fun. 1. The irreplaceable Hazard. Finally we come to the one point everybody has been mentioning when it comes to Chelsea's top 4 credentials this season, Eden Hazard. The Belgian leaving Stamford Bridge was an open secret towards the back end of last season, and when his move to Real Madrid was finally confirmed, Chelsea had the task of filling that substantial gap on the pitch. The 28-year-old made 31 goal contributions in 18-19, meaning he was involved in a massive 49% of the Blues' goals, a league high for a single player. Their number 10 also completed 32% of his team's dribbles over the course of the season, almost triple his replacement Christian Pulisic, albeit this being an early stage of the new campaign. It might be unfair to judge the American on only a handful of appearances in West London, but with a price tag pushing £60 million, it is clear he was lined up to take Hazard's role, despite his tender age. The 20-year-old picked up 9 goal contributions in both 16-17 and 17-18, but despite a lower return last season with Dortmund, his numbers were better. 4 goals and 4 assists in 20 appearances, only 9 of which were starts, meant the youngster had a hand in a goal every 115 minutes. Not that far off Hazard's 94 minutes in 18-19. But Pulisic, as you would expect, still has a long way to go before he puts in Hazard-esque performances. The former BVB man has been dispossessed 14 times so far this season. That's the most in the Chelsea squad, almost twice as much as the next on the list, Mason Mount. There are of course positives that can come with Hazard's relocation to Spain. More players have to step up to the plate and shoulder some of the creative burden. Last year, just Hazard and Willian had at least 1 of each shots, dribbles and key passes per 90. At the time of writing, 5 games into this Premier League campaign, 5 players do. Pulisic is joined by Barkley, Emerson, Mount and Pedro in this regard. But none of them come close to the Belgians' 8.8 attacking actions each and every game. So whilst more variety is a good thing, none of them are close to being on the same level as Hazard. He may no longer walk the corridors at Stamford Bridge, but his presence will certainly be missed as the season progresses. So that was our 5 reasons why Chelsea won't finish in the top 6 this season. That was actually a Danny Pape script, so direct all hate to him on his Twitter. Let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments down below as ever. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I'll see you next time.